Just give me a minute. I gotta land this thing. Let's see. Pretty good. 90 knots, good. There we go. Easy does it. Right over the road. Alright, pull back the power right about here. There you go. Eyes up front. Eyes on the horizon. Easy does it. You got time. Well, you might have time. Ah! Here comes. Oh yeah, okay. Definitely not my best landing. Whoa, okay. But, any landing you can walk away from is a good landing. So I understand that you would like to know how nostr works. Well, okay. So follow me. I've set up some pictures on this board over here that might help us. So come on over with me and we can talk about this. Now, I got to set this up, so hang on a second. I'm going to put this up here and see if I can make this work. Yeah, I think that's going to work okay. So before we can talk about how nostr works, we should probably talk about how Facebook and Twitter work. So that's what I've got up here, right? So these are your client applications. Those are the programs you use on your phone to talk to Twitter or Facebook or whatever, right? So these are the client applications that you use to send messages up to the great server in the sky, the Twitter server, the Facebook server, all of those servers which are controlled by the entities, by the organizations. So this is you down here, and you're going to send a little message up to the great server in the sky, and you hope that your message will then be sent down to other folks down here who follow you. So you'd expect that, right? Well, no, that's not how it works, because you see, there are processes running here, processes invented by people who have agendas, people who are dedicated to the idea that only right think can be tolerated. People dedicated to the idea that misinformation by their lights must be suppressed. And so they will decide up here whether or not your message should come down. And even if they do deign to allow your message down, they may tamper with it. They may add little warnings to it or little caution marks to it. They may mark it in red. And if they really don't like you that much, they may suppress you. They may strike you. They may disable your account. They may shut you down. They might cancel you. Now, nostr works an entirely different way. This is nostr over here. And yes, nostr begins with clients, just like Twitter and Facebook do. There are programs that run on your phone or run on your laptop, whatever, and they send messages to the nostr network. But by the way, these programs, they're just written by guys. The guys that aren't making any money right now, I'll tell you that too, right? Because they're not doing a lot of paid programming work. These are guys working on their own time for their own reasons, who are just throwing these client applications together for your benefit and for theirs, and for the ideal that big, ugly corporations should not be putting their fingers into our communications. In any case, there's a whole bunch of these clients. There's one for the iPhone. There's one for the Android. There's a bunch of them for desktops. There's a lot of them, right? And that's one of the benefits, right? Because if you don't happen to like what one of those authors does, one of these, writers of the clients does? Well, you can just use a different client. Now, let's say that you own this client here and you're working on that application. You're on your phone and you're sending a message. And this client will then send your message, because you hit the send button, it will send your message to a number of relays. And these are the relays up here. These are called relays. These are not big servers in the sky. These are just little programs that are running somewhere. Some maybe up on the cloud. Maybe somebody's got an old computer on their desk. It doesn't matter. These relays are scattered around the world, and there's hundreds of them. And they're written by different people. You know, some guy wrote this one, and a different guy wrote that one, and some other guy wrote that one, and they're all different, and they all have different features. They follow a kind of standard, but it's a free nostr, and anybody can kind of do what they want as long as they fit within the very soft boundaries of the standard. So you're down here, you're going to send a message. Your message goes up to the relays that you have told your client to talk to. Now, in this case, this client only talks to two relays, this little circle and this little spaceship. But okay, fine, the message goes out and the relay stores the message. That's what they do, they store messages. They just receive the messages and then they sit there and hold them. Now, some other client, this little, how about the snaky one? I kind of like the snaky one over here. So the snaky one says, it's time for me to get some messages. I mean, you're sitting there on your phone saying, I want to get some messages. And you hit the appropriate button. And this client goes up to, let's see, how can we go up to? Oh, let's connect him to one of your relays. There we go. So this guy is going to go to all the relays that it's connected to, which happen to include your spaceship relay. And it's going to say, give me messages by Bob. Now, Bob just put a message up here. That's who you are. You're Bob, right? So you put your message up here, Bob. And this guy says, give me all the messages that were by Bob. And sure enough, there's a message by Bob up here. So it comes down into your client. That's kind of the way this works. I mean, it's not a lot of rocket science. The trick, of course, is that your clients will talk to a lot of relays. And those relays will hold your messages, and then other clients will go to a whole bunch of relays, which probably include yours, and will bring down all those messages. That's how that works. And there's no grand server in the sky, nobody who can stop you or throttle your messages. Your messages are going to come through. Now, maybe you're worried about those relays. So let's talk a little bit about them. Like I said before, they're just little programs written by a whole bunch of different people. And the function of a relay is to receive messages from clients and then store them. And then other clients can go to those relays and ask for them. And there's a nice little query language that the clients can use. So the clients can say things like, give me all the messages by Bob, and all the messages by Bob will come down. Or they could say, give me all the messages since yesterday at noon, and all the messages since yesterday at noon would come down. Or they can say things like, I want all the messages that mention Bob, and all the messages that mention Bob can come down. So there's a whole bunch of different ways that the clients can ask for messages. And that's completely up to the client software. When you're operating it, you don't really know that's going on. It's just that you click on a little message by Bob and your client says, oh gosh, give me all the messages that talk about Bob. And they come pouring down into the client and they sort of appear on your screen. Now let's say that one of those relay operators, you know, the guy who's got the computer on his desk, right? He's got a relay running on his desk, and he decides that he doesn't like you. So he decides to suppress your messages. Now, it's a free nostr. He can do that. Nothing can stop him from doing that. So that guy might just squeeze your messages right out of his relay. So what? You're talking to a dozen relays, right? Your client, you have set your client up to send your messages up to a dozen or more relays. So all those other relays are still forwarding your messages all over the place. And then, of course, when you find out that this guy has suppressed your messages, well, you can just stop sending messages to him and you can go to some other relay, because there's a lot of relays out there. And believe me, you will be able to find one that will continue to pass your messages along. And in the worst case, you could call up all your buddies or have other buddies send messages out saying, oh, Bob has moved over to this relay's over here, right? But generally speaking, you won't even have to do that. By the way, the whole relay thing, that can be intimidating. You might think, oh my God, I've got to keep track of all these relays. Probably not so much, because the messages all have relay recommendations in them. So whenever I send a message out, the relay recommendation goes out and that goes down into other clients and they all load those relays and give you the option to connect to them and so on. So it's really not that intimidating. Okay, so, let's go out here and we're going to talk a little bit about, there's the dog. Hey, dog. How you doing, Thule? Good dog, Thule. Good dog, Thule. Sorry, didn't mean to upset you, dog. Okay, well, never mind. So we're going to sit down here. Here, let me turn this camera around. Let's see if I can figure out how to do that. Wait a second. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so you might be worried that a relay operator might, instead of suppressing your messages, might tamper with them. Might add little warnings or maybe reach in and change the content. That happened to somebody not too long ago on Twitter. Somebody started tampering with somebody else's tweets. That was pretty bad. Well, just want to set your mind at rest here. The nostr protocol has a clever means to prevent that kind of tampering. This is not something we're going to get into in this video because we'd have to go one level deeper into the technology. So in the next video, we will be talking about the structure of nostr events. And I'm not going to get horribly technical in that video, just a little bit more so that you, if you're interested, can understand exactly why people can't forge events and can't tamper with events. Until then, however, I wish you a good day and happy nostering, everybody.
We'll keep on spending sunny days this way. We're gonna talk and laugh our time away. I feel it coming closer.